Good morning, everyone. This project we're going to work on today is especially made for my first grade friends. You are studying about Daniel Boone and Sacagawea, and maybe you'll be moving into Lewis and Clark, and I wanted to just do a little project that was about our early American explorers and them exploring through the mountains and rivers of the United States. So what I'm going to need you to do today to do our project are a few different things. The first thing I'm going to have you do is have one of your parents or a grown-up help you take your sketchbook, open it to the middle, and you're going to see there's two staples there. And in the middle, I want your grown-up helper to very carefully help you remove this piece of paper from the center. So mine's tearing a little bit, but if I'm really, really careful, I can pull this off, and then when I take it off, I have a giant piece of paper to work with. This is called a 12 by 18 piece of paper, and this is what I want to work with for my art project today, this big piece, okay? The second thing I'm either going to need to go back to my sketchbook and tear out another page with the help of a grown-up, so that I can make my canoe, or you can use a paper bag. So if you see here, I just took a paper bag from a grocery store and I cut out a part of it, and I'm going to use that. You could use a paper lunch bag, you could use some old cardboard. I'm sure you could find something around the house that would make it look more like a canoe. If you don't and you only have some white paper, you could even use copy paper if you wanted to, the kind of paper that's in your printer. So you're going to need one big sheet of paper from your sketchbook and a smaller sheet of paper like this one that I folded in half, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, okay? Here's some other things you're going to need. Let me move this guy out of the way. You are going to need a pair of scissors. You are going to need some crayons. Now, in my case, I am just going to use a little bit of my picture with crayons, but if I didn't have markers or watercolors, I'm going to use my picture and color it in with crayon. I just did this on a small sheet of paper to show you how I can use my crayon to do the same thing. But if I have watercolors, I want you to get those out, and I'm going to show you a trick to use with markers, okay, and a paintbrush, which is a little bit different from the tricks I've shown you so far. So it's a new trick. So again, let's get scissors, let's get markers. If you have watercolor, get those. And then you need either a black Sharpie or you need a black crayon, your choice, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our canoe first. Let's do that part first. So you're gonna go ahead and have a piece of paper that's about either in the paper bag or a piece of paper that are about the same size. So you can see it's approximately about the same size. And I'm going to take that piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half. So I'm going to show you the best way to fold that in half. So if I have a paper bag, I've cut a rectangle out, and I've taken my paper bag and I've matched my edges up, and I'm pressing firmly so it has a nice seam across it. Okay, we're going to leave that seam there. We're not going to cut that part. If I'm just using a piece of paper, I'm just going to take that piece of paper and match up my edges, and I'm going to press it down, and I'll have that piece of paper, okay? So those are nice and folded and ready for me to get going on my canoe. So if I decide to make my canoe out of white paper, the first thing I'm going to do is get my Sharpie out, and I want to use up all of my paper. So I'm going to put my already finished canoe right here so you can look at it. So if you see, my canoe has two curved edges on it. It's like a stretched out rainbow. You're going to take your crayon or your marker, and you're going to, not even to the top, but you're going to make a stretched out rainbow on one side, and then go to the very other end and make a stretched out rainbow. Now I want to try to make these as the same height. So if I have to make one line a little bit longer, I can go back and do that, just so that they're approximately the same. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a stretched out smile, connect one to the other. Now it's okay if it doesn't, because I'm going to cut it out, so if it didn't match it perfectly, don't worry about that, okay? Now That's if I'm using the paper bag. Oh, I should have told you this. You want to draw it with the open side at the top and the fold at the bottom. Okay, so if you drew yours and you accidentally did it the other way, just flip your paper over and draw it again. You want this part to be open, so this is where the top of your canoe goes. This is where the bottom of your canoe goes. Okay, I'm going to do it on the brown paper too, just to show you. So this is just my paper bag. This would work if you had brown construction paper too. But I like the paper bag because we're reusing it for an art project, and it's kind of fun to cut up different things. All right, so there I have my 2 canoes. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is cut my canoe out. So I'm going to get a pair of scissors, and if you need a parent to help you with your scissors, please get them to help you. All right, and let's go ahead and get those cut. So I'm going to cut just around my line. Now, if I have my paper bag, I probably even want to cut a little bit on the inside of my line so that you can't see my black line anymore, okay? I don't want to see that black line. So I'm just cutting out that canoe all the way around. There. So my canoe is cut out. Now, I'm not going to see the inside, so if it has words on it, don't worry about that, okay? And I will do my white one too, so I can show you both of them. So I'm going to cut out on the inside of my line so that nobody sees my lines. Cutting that canoe out. Now, I want to go ahead and get a brown crayon out for either my white canoe or my brown canoe, whichever one you've made. We're going to give our canoe a little bit of interest and depth. So I used an old crayon, and the reason why I used an old crayon is so that I could peel off the edges of it. Now, if you don't have an old crayon, it's okay if you don't peel off the edges. But you need to go ahead and you can color it this way. It just takes a little bit longer. So when you have a crayon that you can peel the edges off, you can go ahead and do this. So I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to go ahead and just color my canoe. And I'm going to do that whether or not I have a white canoe. Better do, oh, can you see I drew on this side too? I'm just going to color both sides. I'm going to do both sides, whether I have a white canoe or a brown canoe. All right, so you can watch me do this first, and then you can go back and watch it again, and then you can make it after you've kind of watched what I've done first, or you can make it with me. That's up to you, and you can always pause the video as we go. All right. Okay, so I have my canoe, and it's really ready to be decorated. Now, one of the really neat things that I found, and you can have your parents help you find this online, but I'll zoom in on this so you can see it, is a picture dictionary with symbols on it. So do you see all these different symbols? So this is a symbol of spring, and this is summer, and a sun, and a campfire. Here's an Indian camp, the river, there's many fish. This is raining, snowing. So what I want you to do with your picture dictionary is I want you to tell a little bit of the story that might be happening in your picture. So for instance, let me tell you my story. I made this picture. This is my background, and my canoe is going down the river. And right here, this picture right here tells me it's summertime. There were horses around. I saw a man, and I saw an Indian camp. There was a campfire and lots of fish. So you would know by looking at the side of my canoe that I had a story to tell. I want you, and if you need to go back and pause it right now on this picture, you can. You can also go on to a website called Pinterest, and you can put in American Indian symbols, and it'll bring up a whole bunch of choices for you. But I want you to tell a story on the side of your canoe, okay? So this canoe here tells me, again, it's summer. There are horses, a man, an Indian camp. I have a campfire and a lot of fish. And that's going to tell the story for my canoe. So I did another canoe on my white paper, but this picture wouldn't go with it because it is raining, and there's a river nearby, and there was an Indian camp with just a few fish. So my story is a little bit different because, look, it's sunny. It wouldn't tell the story of what my picture is. So I can come back to this one. So what I want you to do now is pause the video, maybe rewind it a little bit, go back to this so you can see the picture, and using one of your crayons, I have to reach and get my crayons here. I'm going to take out a black crayon. Using my crayons, I'm going to write a story on the side of my canoe. And that way, when I paint my picture behind it, I can paint what I put on my canoe. Okay? So I'm going to move those up out of the way, and I'm going to look at my sheet right here, and I'm going to say, okay, maybe in this story, it was a sunny day. So I would draw a circle, and I would make the sun on here. These were really simple drawings because remember, they didn't have pen and ink. They were usually using charcoal from the fire to write these pictures to tell their story. Very similar to when we studied cave art and we did our cave art drawings. It's very similar. So in my picture that I'm going to do, it's going to be a sunny day, and I'm going to be by the river, and I'm going to have a lot of fish. And oh, maybe we'll see a bear print. So I'll put this down. Maybe we saw a bear print. And this one right here says good. So I think I'll write here, it was a good day. I'm just going to draw that like that. So now I'm telling a story on my canoe. Okay? All right, I want you to go and write your story on your canoe. So why don't you pause the video, go and work on your canoe, and then come back and I'll tell you the next step. All right? Okay, now that you've done your canoe, the next step for our canoe is we're going to use our liquid glue. I forgot to tell you to get that. So you might have to run and go grab your liquid glue. If you have a glue stick, it might work. Sometimes glue sticks don't want to stick really well, but we can definitely try it. So I'm going to open up my canoe, and I'm going to do dot, dot, not a lot. Now, earlier, my glue did not want to work very well, so we'll try now and see how it works out. So I'm going to do dot, dot, not a lot. Get some glue on there. Remember, we don't want big puddles of glue. That makes a mess. And we're going to press it down. And I'm going to just press really hard, and then I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry. I don't want to turn it into a three-dimensional canoe yet, not like this. I'll show you to do that later. Because if I do that, these will pop open. So I'm just going to set that up there. This one's already dried, and that's why it can open up a little bit, okay? I'm going to set my canoe up here, and I'm going to work on my background now, okay? So I want everybody to go ahead and get their big piece of paper they took out of their sketchbook. And if it's okay if it has little holes in it, we're going to cover those up, so don't even worry. And I want you to get your crayon or your black marker to do the next step of this, okay? So what we want to do is we want to draw the background of where our explorers were going. Maybe it was a very forested area. Maybe it was a big mountains that they saw in the background. But I want you to think about what is in your story on your canoe, and I want you to kind of tell me that story. So we're all going to start off by putting a river in the front because we need our canoe to be on a river. So I'm going to use, if I use my hand and I turn it sideways where my thumb is at the bottom, I'm going to put a little dot right there, okay? And that's going to give me about what we call a third of our paper. And I'm going to make a wavy line, okay? All this is going to be water. So I'm going to take my black marker or my Sharpie, and I'm going to make waves because this is my river. And this is where I'm going to put my canoe. Maybe I make some curvy waves that my, let's see, that my river is making as it goes down the river. Maybe it even has a little swirl in it, and put a little swirl here. Okay, so it's a rough current. Now, if you drew in your picture a lot of fish, then maybe you want to put some fish jumping out. So if I were to make a fish, I would just make a little U shape, and I'm going to make little waves underneath it. Give it a little bit of a fin and an eye. So there I have some fish that are jumping out. Maybe you have another fish. You could add some more fish to yours. Okay, I'll put another fish right here because I put lots of fish on mine. Okay, so you could do that part. Okay, now that we have our foreground done, remember that's the very, very front of our picture, I'm going to do my middle ground. And here I'm going to make hills. So I'm just going to overlap my hills from one another. So I have some hills here. And then in the very background, I'm going to put mountains. So you can put 1 or 2 mountains, or 3 or 4, however many you think you want to have in the background of yours. I'm going to put some mountains. Mine are going to get smaller and smaller as they go away. That means they're farther and farther away, the smaller they get. Now I'm going to add some trees. So I'm going to put what we call evergreen trees in my picture. Now notice how I'm not really drawing the whole perfect tree, because if you remember from my picture, I'm just going to paint this part green and brown, and I'm not going to worry that I've painted all of the stems and branches on my tree, okay? So I'm just going to keep putting some trees in. Now in this picture, I don't have an Indian camp, so I don't think I'm going to draw the tents like I had in my other pictures. But in this one, I am going to draw some trees. And I think I need to put a sun, because I did say it was a sunny day. So maybe the sun is just setting. Maybe I'll put my sun back here. It's going down or coming up behind the mountains. And I did see some bear tracks, so maybe over back here, I have a cave. I'm going to color that in black. A cave in my mountain. Maybe I'll put some snow across the top of my mountain. A little bit here. I want to put some more trees in my picture. And it's okay if I'm going over my other lines right now. I'm not going to worry about that at all. But I'm creating a background that tells the story that's in my picture. So let's see if I have all the things. It was sunny. I have a river. I have some fish. I have a bear. Maybe this is where the bear print. Oh, watch. I could even make it like this. Right? There's a bear print outside. It was a good day. So I think maybe to tell everybody it was a good day, I might have a campfire. Let's see, even though I didn't put that in my picture, what if I had a campfire, and next to my campfire, I have fish drying. So I'm going to make some fish hanging upside down. So I'm just telling the same story that I have on my canoe, okay? And I can add more. If I wanted to put some trees on my mountains up here, I can go ahead and do that. But you're going to just take your time, and if you have to pause at any point, you pause, and then you spend some time drawing your picture, and then you can come back and see what else I have to say, okay? All right. So once I have my picture drawn, I'm going to go ahead and paint it. Now I'm going to show you some different ways to do that. If you have markers at home, I'm going to show you a fun way to paint. If you have watercolors like these, you can go ahead and just use these and start painting your picture, okay? If you have just markers and you don't have watercolors, I'm going to show you a new way to paint. So what you're going to need to do is get a piece of tinfoil. So have a grown-up help you. Get a piece of tinfoil, okay? And you're going to start with the colors. So I'm going to start with my sun. So say I want to paint my sun. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to color a little bit on my tinfoil, all right? Have any of you tried this before? It's really fun. And then you're going to need a little bowl of water and you're going to need a paintbrush. So I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in my little bowl of water and I'm going to come over here and guess what this makes? You guessed it, it makes watercolor. Watch this. Ooh, that's a very bright yellow, isn't it? Isn't that neat? And so you can paint using your marker. I'm going to try to find another yellow. I got some new markers and I have a lot of colors, so let's see. Oh, that one looks like a better sunshine yellow. Maybe I'll even put a little bit of orange next to it and I can dip into both of those colors. This is called golden yellow. That's what I was looking for. Okay, watch. So now I can go like this, get a little of that color. Oh, that's a better, isn't that happier? Put that in there. I could color over my pieces here. And then I can go ahead and start coloring in my picture. Okay, now if you don't have markers and you don't have watercolor, then just take your crayons and color your picture in just like I did on my sample, one of my samples I showed you. Let me find it. Like this one. you can just color it in. But if you do have markers, this is a fun way, and you can take your time. The great thing is once you've done a little bit, you can wash this tinfoil off. You don't need a whole bunch. And then just wipe it off with a paper towel or a rag, and then you can come back and just keep painting a little bit more and a little bit more. And it's really nice. Watercolor is a great way to paint a picture like this, and we can take our time and we can get details if we need to. You could even, if you wanted, paint a little bit and color a little bit with your crayons, or color some of it with your markers. Doesn't have to all be, but this is a nice way to do some painting if you don't have watercolors at home. All right, you do need to have a brush. You'll have to find one of those, right? So I'm just painting away, and I would paint, I don't know, what color do you think my fish should be? If I was doing like rainbow trout, they're rainbowy. I don't know how to paint that. But we could do, oh, I think I got some orange to paint my fire here. Now, look what's happened. In my water dish, I have orange and green together. Are they friends? No, they aren't. So I need to get clean water to finish my picture. But I might even put a little bit of red in my fire. So I'd put a little bit of red. You see how I can just keep using my whole piece of tinfoil over and over again till I finish my entire picture. Okay, boys and girls. I am hoping you're learning a little bit about Daniel Boone and his exploring, and Sacagawea and her exploring. And you're going to get your whole picture painted. So you have a kind of your explorer's experience, and also the experience that you've told on your canoe. So after you get your whole picture painted, you're going to let it dry. It won't take very long, but you do want to let it dry. And I don't want you to have to sit and watch me paint again. So I'm going to get my one that I finished, and I'm going to take my first canoe that I made because it's telling the correct story. And now that it's dry on the sides, I can go ahead and pop it open a little bit, okay? And you just pop it open by pushing. And then what I'm going to do is, using my dot, dot, not a lot, I'm going to put some glue on the back of my canoe. This helps my glue come down. And I'm going to put some glue dots on the back of my canoe, okay? Not big ones, just little dots. And then I'm going to put it wherever I want it to float down my river. I'm going to press on the inside. And now I have my canoe floating down my river. All right. I hope you had fun. I look forward to seeing these. So when you're finished with this, send your picture to Mrs. Emerson or Mrs. Vicek, or you can send it to me on my school email, which is Arts at Placer Academy, or you can go on Facebook or Instagram with Arts at Placer Academy, and you can share your picture because I really look forward to seeing what you make. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful day. I look forward to doing more art with you later.